I don't remember if I had told this story already. I apologize if I did, but I figure in my, just as my years on earth are not so many just yet, I don't have so many stories to share, so I apologize if I share the same one again. People like Father Ralph might have a little bit more age and experience in life and have had more years to have more stories. I'm only teasing him because he might even be watching a little bit tonight. But in any case, this last summer, I had a great opportunity for my annual retreat. I went up to a retreat house that I had been to before in seminary. It was the first time I'd been back since seminary. And even that in itself was a great gift and a great grace. But as often happens on retreats for me, I begin at the first couple days of the retreat and just try to dive in, try to really pray hard and that sort of thing, do work of prayer. And so I found myself in that kind of rhythm for the first several days of the retreat. It was like, all right, we've got our 4 hours of separate prayer each day. The little meditations, meeting with spiritual director, we're just going to go do this, try to open my heart, try to hear what God is saying, and in a very subtle way, kind of engaging in that sense of, I've got to do something before God does something in my retreat time, which is not the truth about the experience of God. And in fact, that became the great grace for the retreat for me. On Wednesday, the middle day of my retreat, at one particular hour in prayer, I was kind of hitting the point where I was like, gosh, God, why aren't you responding to my efforts to make this a good retreat? And the greatest of graces came, a great gift to me, which was just a communication in prayer, which wasn't like a great, revelation of the heavens opening and the angels singing or anything, but simply a sense as I was sitting in adoration of the Lord, that all I needed to do to make him happy was just to sit there and be with him. All I had to do to make him happy was just to sit there and be with him and to enjoy his presence. I didn't have to try anything special to make him pour out his graces on me. He was already doing so, but he just wanted me to sit and be with him. And that was such a great gift, that retreat, and something that I think back on often, but I need to interiorize even more often, because how easy it is to fall back into the other way of thinking, I've got to do something so as to get a grace and get a gift from God. But I share that story with you, perhaps for a second time, because it reminds me a little bit of what we hear in the first reading from the second book of Samuel, where we see King David telling Nathan the prophet, I'm going to do this for the Lord. I live in such a beautiful temple. So why does God have to dwell in a tent? I'm going to give him a beautiful temple. He lived in the palace, not in the temple. David saying, I live in the palace. God needs to have a temple. So he goes about and sets about this sort of activity. But then Nathan the prophet responds and says, this is what God says to you. Are you going to build me a house? No, rather, I'm going to build you a house. And he's talking now about the house of David, the family that he's establishing and the prominence of that family, which ultimately would be the family that gives line to the birth of the Messiah, Jesus Christ, the son of David. And so God says, I'm going to give you a house. I'm going to give you a great gift. And that is really the truth about who God is and what he does for us, that it's all gift. God is love. Love is gift. Not gift with the sense or expectation that something be given him back, because that wouldn't be a gift, right? A gift is something freely given, unconditionally given. And a lot of times when we talk about living our life of faith, sometimes we start to get into that sense of like, oh, well, God has given the gift, now I've got to earn it back. And that's not the case at all. I don't know if any of you have ever had the experience of just being given something, freely, completely unexpectedly, some sort of gift of some kind. And in those sort of moments, isn't it true that when you receive something totally unexpected, something totally beautiful, a great gift, your heart just responds and says, oh, I want to give something back. Not in a way of like, oh, I'm going to pay you for the thing that you gave me, but instead, gosh, you have been so good to me, so I want to give something back to you. And that's really the way that we're meant to live our lives, in particular our relationship with God. He gives the gift, and because we receive the gift and see how good He is, that calls forth from our heart the desire to give back, not as a way of trying to earn the gift that God has given us, but just because our hearts respond in generosity to the goodness of God. And in fact, isn't it true, too, that the gift that God Himself has given is something that we couldn't even earn, even if we tried? What is it that He gave us? Well, of course, what we're celebrating Christmas this coming Friday, the gift of His Son, who came into the world as a baby in the manger at Bethlehem, to later die on the cross for our salvation. A freely given gift, not given with a sort of string on it, strings attached to it, but just given to us freely. And as we see the goodness of God given to us in Jesus, how can we not respond also wanting to give our lives for Him? God gives us the gift. I think in a particular way of the gift of the sacraments, the gift of the Eucharist, which we have to receive, and those of you present to receive at Mass tonight. What a great gift that's given to us freely, unconditionally. And it calls forth from us, the desire to give back. But I think this thought about God's gifts to us also brings one final point of reflection for the night. And that is, in the coming days leading up to Christmas, we're doing many things to prepare our hearts for the coming of Jesus. And those are all good things. But a great question to ask in prayer is, what is the particular gift that you want to give to me, God, in this time? Is it the gift of just knowing that I can sit in your presence and that's enough? Is it the gift of peace in my life, in a place that's agitated right now? Or the gift of love in a place where there's a difficulty with another person? What is the gift that you want to give me, God, at this time? And this season of grace is made so well available to us. God does really bless this time, and He does have a gift for each one of us, which is a gift that He gives freely, not expecting anything in return, but also that calls forth for us naturally that desire to give back to Him. So, God, what is the gift that you want to give me in these coming days at Christmas? Each one of us asking that question. God, what is the gift that you want to give me?